The police siren cut through the still morning air, bouncing off the pine trees around Silver Pines Lake, and in that moment I realized my little cabin wasn't just under attack, it was about to become a battlefield. Linda Parker, the HOA president, was standing in my driveway like she owned the ground beneath her heels, clipboard raised like it was a badge, shouting that my boat was about to be towed, that if I dared step on my own dock, I'd be trespassing. And while neighbors peeked from behind curtains while the tow truck's chains clinked, I reached for a folder that would change everything. A piece of paper that said the land she claimed power over didn't belong to her HOA at all. It belonged to me. I didn't buy this cabin because I wanted drama. I bought it because I wanted peace. A fixer-upper on the edge of the lake, a place that smelled like cedar and old stories, a place where I could rebuild with my own two hands. I patched the roof, painted the siding a soft gray that matched the mist on the water, fixed the dock, one rotten board at a time. Frank and Jenny, the older couple next door, brought me pie that first week, and the kids up the lane rode their bikes down to throw sticks for Ranger, my dog. It was quiet, it was home, and the last thing on my mind was some HOA. The trouble started small. A note slid under my door. Submit your paint color for approval. I thought it was a mistake. My parcel, the title agent had told me, wasn't even part of the HOA map. So I emailed, I explained, I even walked down to the clubhouse with muffins and copies of my deed. Weeks passed. Then came the violations: unapproved siding, unpermitted dock repair, unauthorized structure, because I put up a little free library. Each notice carried fines like they were handing out candy. I met Linda Parker for the first time in that office, pearls around her neck, perfect hair, and a smile sharp as a knife. She barely glanced at my documents before pushing them aside. "Rules are rules," she told me. "If I let you slide, the whole place will fall into chaos." Chaos over gray paint that matched the original trim. I tried patience. I brought cookies at Christmas. I even helped Todd, one of her board members, jump his dead car battery. I figured reason would win. But every month, the letters got louder, the fines piled higher. I was fixing porches for neighbors, clearing trails with the kids, shoveling snow so an older man could get to church, and meanwhile Linda was writing me up like I was a criminal. That's when I started digging. I went to the county recorder's office, spent nights tracing plats and deeds, sat with an old clerk who loved paper more than air, and that's where I found it. Buried in amendments and re-recordings, a reversion clause, a forgotten legal tripwire. When the HOA failed to renew a filing years ago, certain rights to the common areas snapped back to a backup owner. Through a chain of bankrupt developers and dusty auctions, those rights had landed in my lap when I bought this cabin. I didn't gloat. I didn't strut. I called a lawyer named Hannah Green, soft-spoken but sharp as thunder in writing. She confirmed it. I now held ownership to the very common areas the HOA believed they controlled. And I still didn't want to fight, I just wanted them to leave me in peace. But peace wasn't Linda's language. One morning I stepped out with my coffee mug and saw the tow truck idling its engine, growling. Ranger at my side. Linda waving her clipboard. Amber filming everything on her phone. She screamed about fines, about liens, about my boat being hauled away. A deputy stood near his cruiser, hand close to his belt here because Linda had dialed 911. I set my coffee down, opened my folder, and held out the deed with its gold seal catching the light. The deputy's eyebrows rose. The tow driver froze. Linda's jaw clicked shut. I told her gently maybe she should read the third page before hooking anything up. For a second I thought that would end it, but Linda doubled down. She called me a liar, said she'd sue me into the ground, said I was ruining her community. I wanted to believe the paper would protect me, but that night lying awake I wondered if I'd gone too far. Maybe I should have just paid the stupid fines, maybe the neighbors would resent me for stirring things up. What if I really was the problem? I stared at the ceiling, listening to Ranger's breathing, and I almost convinced myself to give up. Then morning came, and with it spray paint. Red letters dripping across my cabin wall. "Traitor, get out!" My chest tightened. This cabin was the first place I'd felt peace in years, and now it was vandalized like I didn't belong. Frank and Jenny showed up horrified. Neighbors drifted in with rags and buckets, and together we scrubbed until our hands stung. The smell of paint clung to us, but slowly the words faded. And that's when I realized I wasn't alone. The same people Linda claimed to protect were now standing shoulder to shoulder with me. But, of course, Linda arrived. Her SUV screeched to a stop. She leapt out clipboard raised, shouting that we were violating HOA rules by cleaning my own wall. She tried to twist the story, accused me of painting it myself for sympathy. The deputy who showed up wasn't buying it, and when a half-empty can of red spray paint rolled out of the back of Linda's SUV, the crowd gasped. The deputy held it up calm but steady and asked her to explain. She sputtered, pointed at me, tried to spin another lie, but it was too late. Everyone saw it. For the first time, her power cracked. Still, she wasn't done. That evening, trucks arrived carrying concrete barriers. A slick man in sunglasses announced the HOA had voted to block off the park and boat launch until legal matters were resolved. The crane groaned as a massive block swung over the entrance. Neighbors panicked. Ranger barked furiously. I stepped forward, heart hammering, and told him he wasn't just dropping concrete, he was cutting off families, kids' memories. He sneered, told me to save it for court. And then the sheriff rolled up lights, flashing Deputy Morales behind him and Mr. Goodwin, the county clerk, carrying a fresh set of documents. The sheriff's voice cut through the chaos. Nobody drops anything until I say so. Goodwin opened his folder and read aloud. As of that morning, the county had officially recognized the reversion deed. Control of the common areas was mine, not the HOA's. The crane operator, sweating, lowered the barrier back onto the flatbed. A cheer rose from the neighbors. The man in sunglasses cursed, jabbed a finger at me, swore the HOA would be back with lawyers, with judges, with everything they had. I told him to bring it because no matter what they threw at me, they'd never own what really mattered here: kindness, community, freedom. And in that moment, Linda Parker's empire of clipboards and fines collapsed. The sheriff read the certificate into the record, the neighbors stood united, and Linda dropped her clipboard papers, scattering across the gravel like broken wings. She screamed, "No," into the night. A sound sharp enough to shatter glass, but her power was gone. For years, she ruled by fear, but fear can't stand in the light of truth. That's where it ended, her screaming, the neighbors staring, the sheriff standing tall with the law in his hand. And me, wet from pulling an old man out of the lake, standing steady at last, knowing the fight had cost me peace, but given us something stronger. Because power built on fear will always collapse. Only kindness endures.